Tamara, you think she looks good?
I think she looks amazing. She is calm. She is honest. She's open. She looks like a mom. She has a really bad mom haircut.
Yeah, bad mom haircut,
and,
right?
You know, she's not...
First call should have been to the hairdresser,
exactly,
right?
like the
Jo Mackey.
Right. Like the administrator. She was on the phone with the hairdresser when she missed the call.
Okay.
But no, she was very, very believable, and usually defense attorneys don't like to put their clients on the stand because they don't know what they're going to say.
Well, they know what they're going to say on direct, and on direct, she's fine. She's
fine, and she says all of the things that she needs to say. She says, I went to the school, I waited there for 5 minutes, I asked the little boy, who is your mom? Where do you go to school? She's not a child abductor who's taking the kid into the forest and doing bad things to him or hiding him in a wall or something like that we've seen lately in the news.
Yeah.
She is inquiring, where can I take you, lost little boy?
But
another thing that's interesting is she called the school first, not the police. And when when the administrator was on the stand, she said that she called other people in the school. She didn't call 911 first. So she did the exact same thing that the school did when the kid went missing.
Exactly. And in the first place, Tamara Holder, be it resolved that Ms. Drake is a private attorney general, if you will. She has an agenda, no question about it. It reminds me of you see these folks all the time. They hand out leaflets, they found new religions, they go on hunger strike. But is she a criminal?
No, this is the case where we're punishing the Good Samaritan. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And here we have this officer on the stand who's talking about all this nonsense. He did not witness this woman take the little boy. He did not know about these efforts.
Rescue the little boy.
Rescue.
Right.
Yes, the defense attorney and me. Rescue the little boy. So he's coming in after the fact, as most officers do, and testifying to get the jury to believe something that really isn't, that he has no personal knowledge of. This officer is a waste of time.
Well, you know, he knows that she was acting oddly in the patrol car, unresponsive. She obviously had some urinary problem. Okay.
Okay, well, she was freaked out.
Or whatever. But it has nothing to do.
Right.
Thank you.
And you don't have to beat up the officer. Let the officer walk into his own trap, sit down, and let the jury decide. There's no reason for this defense attorney to beat this guy up.
I get you don't want people snatching kids off the street, but neither do you want 6-year-olds who are new to the school wandering around on the street, whether in a desolate area or closer to the school, wandering around by themselves, right, Tamara?
Right, and if I were a parent, which I'm not, but if I were a parent and somebody picked up my kid and was contacting authorities and did everything possible to save my kid, where's the thank you? Say thank you.
Well, this is the thank you.
Thank you for, yeah, exactly.
You're on trial.
Thank you for picking up my wandering kid and sending him home to me so he's not found dead in that forest that he wandered into.
Right, and this is what really is the most outrageous part. It's ridiculous.
Right, Tamara, defense counsel was very, very gentle. Once again, his theme was, you have no idea what you're talking about either, do you? No, I don't. Thank you very much. Next witness, bring on another one. He could have been a lot rougher on her, but the jury can't help but think that this is the principal of the school. Doesn't she bear some responsibility for making sure the kiddie poos aren't wandering around loose on the street and that the security cameras are on?
Well, yeah, and what's interesting is it's the PTO, Parent-Teacher Organization.
No, Parent-Teacher, PTSO, Parent-Teacher Socialist Organization, no doubt, a subversive group, you know, established by these parents for the purposes of attacking the infrastructure of Jo Mackey Elementary School.
Or the lack thereof of infrastructure, because they go into this conversation, or she testifies to how they're missing the crossing guards and how they're creating those. So it's the organization that's bringing forward the issues to the school. Hey, we need to protect these students. How do we do so? And then the school's like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. But, you know, it's really funny because all of this testimony is about the other lady, Miss Clermont,
whose trial, by the way, will be conducted separately.
Another day, another trial, another issue. Nothing's really talked about Miss Drake. So it's like, what's your point here, lady, about Miss Clermont and whether her kid shows up to school or not? This is about Miss Drake. What about Miss Drake? They have nothing.
Let's say that the jury votes with the majority of our listeners and says this woman shouldn't even be charged, let alone found guilty. So it's over, right? She wins, she's vindicated, no problem, no sweat, right?
Well, no sweat for who? For the jury, because they get to go home after listening to all of this nonsense. But this woman now potentially has a civil suit. You know, whenever you're found not guilty of a crime, you can always sue. She can sue the school district.
Well, anybody can sue for anything.
Right, but it's not necessarily frivolous.
She can't sue the prosecutor.
No,
right?
no.
Because the prosecutor has immunity. She can't. The school district, they weren't the people who brought charges. It was the DA's office that brought the charges. So I don't know what she's going to walk away with here in terms of a civil suit. I think she's going to walk away with anything if she's lucky enough to get acquitted.
Well, I think she's going to be acquitted, but it's interesting that you didn't ask me the question. I'm also a defense attorney, but I really do think that the reason why the prosecution charged this case is because certain laws and certain facts fit well together. It doesn't mean that they make sense. But if you put the facts into the law, then you say, oh, wow, we have a crime. She took a kid that wasn't hers, so therefore we can charge her with abduction. And it doesn't make sense at all.
So you're walking down the street and you find a syringe filled with a milky white liquid, and you pick up the syringe because you don't want one of the kids to stick himself with it. It's, you know, you think it contains drugs. Now you're in possession of drugs. Yeah, the facts fit the law, but this, and Brother Farkas, this isn't what the law was intended to do.
It's not. Let's talk about unintended consequences then. Let's talk about why we New Yorkers are sometimes called jaded. Because a lot of us aren't going to be good Samaritans. A lot of us, and I don't include myself here, Ron, I still try to do the right thing. But how many people have you heard say to you, I'm not getting involved, or I'm not going to help this person out. What's going to happen to me? This is the kind of society.
The reason why is because we actually, as members of society, do not have a duty to come to the aid of others.
Right. We don't have a legal duty.
And this is the reason why. Well, this kind of case is all the reason why we shouldn't come to the aid of others.
God forbid we should help somebody, and now we're on the hook. I mean, this is what this...
Tamara, the jury comes back. If they say not guilty, she still has gone through this entire process. She doesn't get a refund on her legal fees, right?
No, and just like I earlier said, maybe she can sue, but who is she going to sue, and is it going to be successful? But I think the important lesson in this case is that there can be prosecutorial misconduct, not that that's what was occurring here, but there can be overcharging of cases, and it's not just Senator Ted Stevens. It's not just Nifong and the Duke rape case. This happens to ordinary people every single day. And there's one other thing I'd like to say to this. Thousands of kids go missing a year, and this should be a lesson that there are good people out there who turn in missing children. What about all of those other kids that are never found, that go missing in the desert and they're gone forever?
Well, I think, Tamara Holder, it does seem that what she is saying makes perfect sense, not just to those of us who are attorneys, but it makes perfect sense to lay people, too.
Yeah, everything that she did made sense. From the very beginning, she picked up a kid who was wandering in the desert, and she made a phone call.
Well, wandering in the desert. You make it sound like he's out there and, you know, the mule teams going by and the bleached bones of desiccated cattle lying there. Okay, it's the desert.
We are talking about Nevada, and if you did see the picture of the school, it was like in the middle of nowhere. So it's not that far.
Most of America is in the middle of nowhere.
And there are a lot of dead bodies all around that area of Nevada. But it's for a kid to get lost out in the desert is not that hard.
Even for a kid to get lost, a 6-year-old kid to be wandering alone anywhere. 6 is really young. It's not really like he was 16.
Let me be the devil's advocate. Go ahead.
And remember, in the direct examination of the school administrator with the bad hair, she said that he had a tummy ache. So you don't know. Maybe this kid was dehydrated as well. Maybe he was sick. Maybe he was lost because he was a little delusional or something in his sickness. You don't know those things. I'm just saying that maybe
you're just engaged in wild speculation.
Well, no,
maybe was a little boy who had a tummy ache who walked away from school. A parent found him, brought him back to the school district. No, it shouldn't be a big deal. Period.
Thank God nothing worse happened to the kid. And this is such a short period of time. We're talking about an hour and a half here. We're not talking about days. We're not talking about, you know, months of this kid in hiding. Come on, this is an hour or so.
Let's see the prosecutor